John Leonetti here to discuss for Pinnacle Equity Solutions the pros and cons of an external transfer or sale of your business. And what I want to talk to owners about today is the ideas that go through your head in terms of selling your business one day. Because let's face it, if you're owning and running a privately held business and you've been through this recession, you're probably thinking, what's the end game, or what's my exit strategy? And more appropriately, do I have an exit plan? And the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of business owners when they even start to think about this is that the sale of the business will be something like the sale of their home, where they spent maybe a couple of weeks to a few months fixing up the inside, cleaning up the different rooms, putting a fresh coat of paint, making it very presentable to any potential buyers. Then a bank came in, financed a deal, somebody bought it, and you moved out of your house, someone else moved in, and it was nice and clean. That is the association a lot of business owners have with their first thought towards an external sale of the business. But the problem with that is that the sale of a business and the sale of a house are two radically different things. And business owners just don't spend enough time thinking about the complexities of selling a business. So there are two primary types of buyers who could come in and pay you for the ownership of your business. One of those types of buyers is a strategic or competitive buyer, somebody who's in your industry. And the other type of buyer is a financial buyer, an investment group or a private equity group. Now, both of these types of buyers bring one huge advantage to the table in that, much like the buyer of your home, they're coming with some form of cash and financing. And this activity is going to start coming back now that the credit markets are coming back and the financing is available to them. So what you want to do is be prepared for understanding the pros and the cons of these different transactions. So if you sell, in short, the pro, I think we know. You've got a big cash balance in your investment account and you've got some financial freedom. Now, for most business owners, they'd be thinking, well, okay, what else is there? I don't have to work anymore. I have plenty of money. And, well, I think I know what I'm going to do, but that shouldn't really be a problem, right? Because now I've got all this financial security. Well, the reality is, unless you've really planned out how you're going to spend your days, the sale of a business a lot of times is not a very happy event for a very long period of time for a lot of owners. And there's a very specific reason for that. It's called seller remorse. And business owners fail to realize, unlike the sale of their home, which they just disposed of and moved into a new house, and yeah, they felt a lot for the home, but they moved to another one, the sale of a business is very different. It's what's engaged you for all of your years. It's where your identity is. It's where your relationships are. It's the status that you hold inside the community. And when you go and trade that in for a pile of cash, there's only one way that that's a perfect scenario for you, is if you're totally dispassionate about the business, about the employees, about the relationships, and about how really you're going to spend your time afterwards. So, yeah, and that's very rare. It does occur with some serial entrepreneurs, but it's very rare. And you probably wouldn't be attracted to this message if it was you anyway. So the pro of a sale is that you get the highest price, and the con is that you might not know what you're going to do with your life, and you might pay a lot of taxes, and you're going to lose control of the business. So those are the things you have to think through. Now, if you've thought this through, you might conclude, well, wait a minute, if I bring an investment group in here, I can work for a few more years. They can buy maybe 80% of my business under what's called a recapitalization transaction, and I can keep working with them to grow the business. Well, you might think that's a perfect scenario. I've taken chips off the table. I'm continuing to work. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do with my time. And we're continuing to grow the business, and most of the risk in the business now belongs to somebody else. That's all true. But what's the flip side to that? Well, the reality is, guess what? Somebody else owns your business now. Somebody else is, in effect, your boss. Because even though they say they're going to let you run the business the way you want to run it, and maybe they do, The question is, do you really want to work under that structure? The new owners of your company are going to be looking for a profit. How's it going to feel when they make changes that you disagree with? How's it going to feel when you have to report to the board of directors in a formal way? When you don't have the autonomy to do what you want to do, and you're working under an employment agreement and the majority of the profits are going to somebody else. It's different. So when we take a look at the different types of transactions, this is a great primer on what you need to be thinking about if you're thinking about an external transaction. And by the way, this would be if you've concluded that your managers and your internal people are not going to be able to run the business without you, and you're going to need an outsider to come in. So the more thought that you can give to these types of ideas, the better prepared you'll be for your exit when the transaction shows up, so that you'll know what you're going to do with your time, energy, efforts, and your life, what's going to replace the challenge of running the business, or alternatively, whether or not you can work with partners, and whether or not you want to come under an employment agreement and stay with the business. These are the important questions to ask. It's really what the exit planning business that's emerging is all about, getting business owners to make better decisions with their business when it's time for exit. This is John Leonetti for Pinnacle Equity Solutions, talking about the pros and cons of an external transaction or a sale to an outside party. Thank you.